we were gonna film our viewing room episode on that today, and then Gary said, "Hey, I'm sick. I need you guys to do the show." And so we decided, well, we're gonna do a combination. So essentially, at part of your show, you get a live viewing room. So figured I'd bring Dragon on up here, and we'll get this going here.
And now time for The Viewing Room with Adam and Ethan.
So if you're a viewing room audience, thank you for joining Viewing Room. If you're your show audience, thank you for joining your show. And maybe go check out the other if you're only viewing one of them.
yeah, this is perfect. This is the nice little two
nice
in one.
Nice crossover.
Yeah,
It's
like my shampoo.
Oh, there goes the dragon.
And there goes Dragon. Okay,
The other dragon.
other Dragon. So should we do a viewing room intro?
Let's do the viewing
give the
intro.
folks what they want.
Let's do it.
Welcome to the viewing room, where we talk about films new and old, local and global. Today we're going to be talking about Groundhog Day, which was released February 12th, 1993. So usually it takes me 12 times to get that intro
normally,
right. That was really
normally
good.
there's a lot of goofing around, and I play some random music at the beginning, and
yeah. There's a lot of.
we got to be careful about what we say, because this isn't as much produced. This is live.
Oh, this is all raw.
So.
Funny. No, actually, never mind. So Groundhog Day, budget of 14.6 million USD, grossing 70 million USD at the box office. Now I'm sure it's grossed more in DVDs and whatnot, but that was the box office details. $14.6 million, two of which went to Bill Murray, from what I could tell. So already like that, you're at $12 million, right? So not a very high budgeted film, but when you break down how it's actually shot, you can kind of see why, right?
Yeah.
So
do you know how long they shot? Like, they actually spent shooting this? I feel like it would have been pretty quick.
I wanted to say it was 22 days. I wanted to say it was 22 days, but that was flight risk. So I'm not sure. Harold Ramis actually said that he shot it pretty quickly because he knows the longer Bill Murray works on a movie, not the angrier, but the more restless he gets and the grouchier he gets. So he actually did all the easy scenes first, he said, and then did the hard scenes later, where Bill Murray was supposed to be a bad guy.
Yeah.
Because he thought he'd get a better performance from a grouchy Bill Murray.
I have to say, I went into it expecting Bill Murray to be his usual asshole self, and he was. He delivered.
Yeah. Another film.
I've never
Bill
watched
Murray...
a Bill Murray movie where he isn't a complete asshole for at least part of it.
Yeah, I don't know. And then by the end, you like Bill Murray, right? So it's like,
it's
like I don't know. Bill Murray is so good at being so hateable but so likable at the same.
Exactly. Right.
Time.
It's so weird.
Another movie where a girl falls in love with Bill Murray, and she's 10 times above his class, but whatever. Maybe for people who aren't as into the film stuff, we kind of explained this on the show a few times, but to save money when you shoot a film, you don't shoot it from start to finish, okay? I mean, some abstract directors might do that, whatever. But usually, when you get a location and you say, okay, we're going to be at Avengers Tower 6 times in the film. Well, we're not going to go to Avengers Tower 6 times, right, and move our location and crew. We're going to shoot 3 days in Avengers Tower and get those scenes out of the way, and then we'll move somewhere else. And then that way we can move as little as possible, stay in the same location. Sometimes there's reshoots, whatever, doesn't work out. But that's kind of how you do it to save money. So when we're shooting in a film that takes place in similar locations and has reoccurring scenes, well,
it'll be really quick because you don't have to make that many changes for each scene, right?
Right. Like Bill Murray, let's say he goes to this bar 6 times. Okay, well, we know that's one location, and it's 6 scenes with a little bit of variation, but we're same characters, same time of day, same outfits, right? And it's just a change in dialogue. So really, it might only be a day and a half of shooting at this one location, and then boom, we're done, right? And so that's kind of why I think this film doesn't have as big as a budget as we may have thought from a '93 Bill Murray movie, right? This is a third of the budget of what Ghostbusters 2 would have had a couple years prior.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But there you go.
Yeah.
Okay.
Synopsis.
Okay.
I want the synopsis.
I don't have my phone on me, so you go to the phone. I should say, cast: Bill Murray, Annie McDowell, Chris Elliott. Those are our main trio, and it's directed by Harold Ramis. I guess Bill Murray and Harold Ramis had a bit of contention going through the years. It kind of did stop Bill Murray and Harold Ramis from talking for a bit, and then they reconnected before Harold Ramis died, fortunately. But this movie was part of the reason that they actually uh, kind of fell apart a bit. But
Yeah.
you go ahead and read the
There we go.
synopsis.
A cynical TV weatherman finds himself reliving the same day over and over again when he goes on a location to the small town of Puxatawny to film a report about their annual Groundhog Day. His predicament drives him to distraction until he sees a way of turning the situation to his advantage.
Yeah.
And yes, he does.
Yes, exactly. So this isn't a new idea per se.
No.
This is something that has been done a lot in film, and
Yep.
it's not like a super original idea, but it's executed very well. Where we have
Yeah.
Bill Murray trapped reliving a day, and we're gonna see him going through different scenarios. Like, hey, how could I make the most money this day? How
Yep.
could I get with the most women this day? Right?
Yeah, right.
What's the craziest thing I could do and get away with? And what can I learn and how can I grow? Right? And so we see a lot of that. So there's actually 38 days depicted in this movie.
Yep.
38 individual scenarios or days.
Yeah. I think there's a lot more than that, though.
Yes.
Like, they
I
make reference to
agree.
it a few times that
Yes.
he's
I said
potentially
the same
spent
thing.
months there.
Yeah, especially since he learned how to play piano and recite French poetry and XYZ. He does all these things that it would actually make you think that he maybe spent 3 months, right? And not
Yeah.
just over a month,
Yeah.
right? So I think we're on the same page about that. I'm happy you think the same
Yeah.
way because I was going to bring that up as well. So usually at this point we do a plot. We can kind of speed run the plot this time.
I think it's pretty self-explanatory.
Yeah, Bill Murray, weather reporter. He kind of wants to move up in the world. He's not really happy with where he's at right now. New producer Rita comes in, and she's the attractive girl that's gonna fall in love with Bill Murray, even though Bill Murray's not an upstanding guy.
No.
But we'll get there. And so they go to Punxsutawney to essentially celebrate Groundhog Day, where they pull a little groundhog out of a stump. This is a real thing in Punxsutawney, by the
Yep.
way. And if the groundhog sees its shadow,
Groundhog saw his shadow this year.
yes,
he did.
yesterday at the Groundhog Festival in Punxsutawney.
Yep.
Punxsutawney Phil
Puxatawny Phil.
has
Yeah.
seen his shadow again this year, which means we have 6 more weeks of winter for you Canadian folk.
Well, I mean, honestly, Groundhog Day, like, does it, especially when you live in Canada, it's like,
Mm-hmm.
even
It's
if
more
you
of
says
groundhog suggestion.
Yeah. More like Groundhog Day festival,
Yeah.
and weather's gonna do whatever it's gonna do, and most of the time you get another 2 months of winter.
Yeah, dude. Why are they waking up that poor groundhog for what?
Right.
Yeah, dude. So, yeah, groundhog this year said six more weeks of winter. So did it in this year, in this film as well.
Yeah.
So obviously, big festival for a small town, usually bringing around maybe like 2,000 people. So it's a
Yeah.
big event for Punxsutawney. And for Bill Murray, he does this every year. It's old, it's boring, it sucks. And he's just not happy with it. He can't wait to be done and move on to bigger, better things. But the universe has other plans for him because when the day is over, he wakes up and has to do it all over again and again and again. So he tries various things to understand his situation, which later involves him trying to off himself in a few various ways.
Yep.
Like a toaster
Toaster
bath.
bath.
Yeah, which was pretty crazy. Jumping off a building, other stuff. And
My one question with that was, and they
Mhm.
didn't explain it very well, if at all, was, let's say he commits suicide, right? He gets hit
Okay.
by a train, jumps off a building or something. Is it immediately reset, or does the rest of the world live out the rest of that day, right? Like, they find his body and they're so confused and yada yada yada, and
they live out the rest of the day. And the reason I'm going to say that so adamantly is because when he jumps off, there's a scene right after in the morgue where like the mortician, whatever, lifts up
Right.
the sheet
that's right.
and
yeah,
Rita is there and she's like, yeah, that's him. Right. So
yeah,
goes till 6 or whenever it goes till 6 a.m.
yeah.
and then I got you, babe. Right, and then we're back.
Yep. That music, using that same music to make it clear to us that it's the same day is another really
Yes,
clever way of doing
and
it.
that music, "I Got You, Babe," was written in the original script because of how repetitive that song already is. Funny enough. um, so yeah, that's why I think that it
Yeah. No, that makes sense. I forgot about that
keeps
one
going.
scene. So yeah, that makes
Um,
sense.
To me, that's why. So Bill Murray is trapped in this time loop where no matter what he does, he can't. He tries killing Puxatawny Phil. He kidnaps
That's so
Puxatawny
funny.
Phil, which is funny. He gets unhinged.
I love how he doesn't even doesn't just like shoot him or something. He has to drive him off a freaking cliff.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah. And funny enough, Punxsutawney Phil in that scene bit Bill Murray so bad that Bill Murray had to go get medical help because he was bleeding so bad.
that's funny.
And a rabies shot. He was actually bit twice by the groundhog in this film. Poor Bill Murray.
Poor Groundhog.
Poor groundhog.
Had to bite Bill Murray.
Yeah. So what happened is, in one of the vehicle shots, the groundhog is trying to escape over the wheel of the like a steering wheel, and Bill Murray keeps pulling him back so he doesn't escape. I guess the groundhog must have just turned around and went,
right.
And bit his hand, right? And so he was bit twice. So that wouldn't have been fun for everyone. They gave him a rabies vaccine and all that. Just couldn't imagine that, man. That's so funny. And the day keeps going on, and there's little variations, right? So
And we see him.
I don't think we need to.
No.
We don't need to go into all of it.
Yeah, I mean, there's little variations,
shorter.
and we see him, like you said, trying different things, trying to, rob banks, sleep with people, whatever. And then also, but like they show within those, I'm gonna call them like story or day cycles, I guess you'd say, of like, so for this set of days he's trying to achieve X, Y, Z, but it takes him multiple days to do that because the first day he's got to go, and he gets halfway through the conversation before they're disgusted with him and. But then he's got the information, so then the next day he can make it further, and then further, and then.
And
So
they have a really good scene where he's trying to figure out Rita's favorite drink.
yes,
Once he hears Rita's favorite drink, he immediately walks back into the room, and he's like, like, what should we drink to? And she's like, oh, I usually drink to world peace, and he walks right back into the room. And he's like, to world peace, right? Right, and whatnot, and so he tries to fall in love with Rita by basically memorizing everything about her.
Yeah.
And I guess she falls for it for a bit, and then she doesn't fall for it, and he kind of realizes, oh man, it might actually be hopeless because he's tried so many times over and over and over again to get her to fall in love with him, but it won't work. But at this point, he's actually fallen in love with her because he knows everything about her and how similar they are. But she doesn't know that because she's had 6 hours of liking Phil to get to know him. He's had 30 days, right?
Yeah, right.
Of just every day with her. Mm-hmm. And so, it's creepy to her. and to an audience, it's also like feels a little weird.
Yeah.
But to him, of course, it makes sense, right? Because he spent all this time trapped in this moment, right? That's all he has to cling on to.
Yeah.
And so eventually Bill Murray gives up. He tries doing all the things like killing himself. It doesn't work. And then I guess he's memorized the day and the events so much that he's trying to escape, and he realizes that, hold on a second, maybe it's not about falling in love or doing this. It's maybe more about doing the right thing to actually get through the day. Right. And so he starts to take things seriously again, where he's actually going to put some effort and work into the Groundhog Festival and presenting it to the news, as hard as it might be for him. He's going to help people around the city. He's going to buy life insurance from Ned. Ned's the guy's name, right?
Yeah.
He and instead of trying to trick Rita into falling in love with him, he's going to just try and be who he should be and do the right thing and not try and gaslight her or manipulate her into being in love with him, right?
Right.
It eventually works. The day finally ends and Bill Murray escapes.
Yeah.
And we're left being like, hey, Bill Murray is finally there, which means we should have a little reset.
Yeah, I was going to say. So this is, again, we're checking in here on your show, the Monday edition, and also Viewing Room for those of you who are listening or watching to the Viewing Room. So if you want to, we saw this movie through Coliseum Presents. They put on a lot of great events here in town, local film events. So if you want to get in touch with us, just like they did, you can head over to our website, dufferinave.com.
Dufferin
Dufferinave.com. Yeah.
Dufferinave.com. Do what Gary does.
Yeah, do it, Gary. I'm not doing that. I can't do it as well as him.
Yeah,
So that's our website, and as Gary says, well, I did it in the wrong order. He always does the email first, so that you say if that's too long, then you can. Well, anyway, contact@dufferinav.com.
That's our email.
That's how you know we're serious. Is we have our own email domain. Like that's how you know somebody's a serious business is they have their own email domain. So yeah, if you want to get in touch with us, we do we're hyper local. We do lots of community focused stuff like Coliseum. Things that really help out in the community and getting people together. So yeah,
Absolutely.
check us out.
And the viewing room also has an Instagram @theviewingroom_ for anyone who isn't to listen to our show but wants to check out some of our clips, highlights, and support us. So please check out the viewing room _ on Instagram, and we love to see you there.
We also have a Dufferin Ave Instagram, but I don't know what it is.
It is just Dufferin Avenue Media.
Yeah.
I think. So
Gary doesn't push the social medias enough because he doesn't like social media.
Yeah,
So
it's our
I don't
job now.
have those ones memorized.
It's our job now.
Yeah.
So, funny enough, this film is actually filmed in Woodstock, Illinois.
Okay.
Not Pennsylvania.
How much wood could a woodchuck chuck if a woodchuck could chuck wood?
Wow. Okay. That should be like is that like a pilot thing? That's how you're supposed to talk on the radio or something? Every single pilot sounds like that on the radio, mixing a few ahs.
What's your record for longest? 11 seconds.
Yeah, Family
Ladies
Guy.
and gentlemen, from the flight deck, this is your captain speaking. We've reached our cruising altitude, and we're going to take a breath before that one.
It'd be crazy if you just fell over and I had to do the rest of the show. You know, I wouldn't stop. I would just be like, you're watching your show, Dufferin Avenue Media Network's #1 hit show from 4 to 5, Monday to Friday.
No, we're the #1 hit show.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Remember.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, okay.
Statistically, we are the #1 show.
Oh, you keep telling yourself that.
Have you looked at the statistics?
No.
Then you have to take my word for it because I have.
I guess so, yeah. Like I said, this is a pretty common theme.
Yeah.
For a movie. And truthfully, I think it's just executed so well that it works, right?
I mean, I don't know if it's executed like spectacular. It's good, but I don't feel like it's anything special. Like I haven't one of the movies I've watched that's very much like this is Edge of Tomorrow with Tom Cruise and Emily Blunt. And that's another one that's really well executed.
It is good, yeah.
I don't know. I can't think of any more off the top of my head that are like this. This exact kind of reliving a same day.
Right. The time loop thing has been done, right?
But yeah, no, I don't know. I don't think there's anything like over the top special about this one. I mean, it's good. Like that's the thing is it's not bad at all. I just don't think it's like standout special.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like it's a little more special to me. I think it's very charming and some of its humor, like in seeing Bill Murray have a bit of a redemption arc, is sweet. And I think for me, there's enough moments of Bill Murray going from asshole to nice guy back to asshole that it puts you on a journey of like, oh, is he actually going to learn and change?
Is he actually going to redeem himself?
And he does eventually redeem himself, right? And I think that's a good thing. He starts to actually care, and he's in it for the right reasons, actually caring and not trying to gain something out of it.
Yeah.
I mean, you can argue he's trying to gain his freedom back out of a time loop or whatever, but I mean, at a certain point, he's tried that, right? And so, whatever. And one thing I enjoy is the message isn't preached, right?
Yeah, that's true. That's very true.
It's never once said that, oh, I have to be a good guy to escape the day or whatever like that. It's just shown to us as an audience.
Well, and also I think it's shown to him as well. Because he's trying to figure out, okay, how the hell do I get out of this loop? It's not like, some deity comes down and, to exit this loop, you must, whatever, So I think that also, it's like positive reinforcement, in a way. When he does good things happen.
Yeah, and it's not being spoon-fed to us in any way. It's,
that too, yeah.
It's very consistent, and it's not going to be some crazy voiceover or exposition being like, okay, I am and Phil with the news, and I'm going to escape and challenge my inner self. It's like no, he tries and tries and
We're
tries.
trying to
and he
figure
tries
it
a
out with
lot.
him as we go. Like, okay, well, how about this? How about
Exactly.
this?
Exactly. Yes, and
Yeah.
I like that. Before this film was released, Punxsutawney had about 2,000 people coming on their Groundhog Day celebration. Now, an average of 20 to 40,000 people come for their festival.
That's pretty cool, actually.
Yes, so there is a lot of people coming to see this, and it's awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, we're hearing about it still to this day. I mean,
Yeah.
it's been going on a long time. This movie didn't create this thing. This has been going on forever.
I wonder what the origin of Groundhog Day is.
So
I don't know.
I don't know a lot about the origins, but I do know there is a line in here that Bill Murray says, and he's like shouting, he's like, "Yo, you people used to eat the groundhog when this day really meant something, right?" Which is true. The original origins of Groundhog Day was actually more of a hunt, from what I can tell, and they would eat groundhogs on Groundhog Day. And then it turned into something less than that. I don't know if it was like mad cow disease or something. Took that, or chronic wasting disease. But yeah, like that was kind of not like, that wasn't a throwaway line. That kind of actually does have some meaning to it. I don't know the exact roots, but that was something I was reading. It's like, hey, this is actually like, he was right in saying this.
Yeah.
Which, funny enough, right?
Right. Yeah.
And obviously Harold Ramis passed away. 2008, is that when he passed away?
I don't remember exactly.
And luckily Bill Murray and him kind of came back together after that. But yeah, there's always been there was a lot of contention between them for some time, and I don't think it shows at all. But I don't know. I think Harold Ramis had a lot of people in mind for who he was choosing to have the role of Phil. Yeah. And I know there was a lot of talks between different actors and stuff, but it was eventually settled with Bill Murray, and he thought that, like, hey, Bill Murray can be lovable and hateable enough to pull this off, right?
Right.
And they made it happen. Harold Ramis is he's not very recognizable in this film as the doctor. When Bill Murray goes to the doctor to get like the scans and whatnot.
That's Harold Ramis?
Yeah. Yeah, isn't it pretty crazy?
I didn't notice that.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah, and I was like, not recognizable.
That's like Peter Jackson level.
Yeah.
Like, he was always famous for his cameos, but like he would hide them really well.
Yeah. Yeah, it's tough. Like, I don't know what was going on there, but it was very hidden. Yeah, I mean, I don't have much left to say. What about you?
Honestly, like this movie it's just one of those ones that, like, it's good, but like I feel like there's not a lot to analyze in a way. Like they don't really go out and try anything new exactly. I don't feel like, and maybe at this time that whole time travel loop was not as common, but I feel like when I watch this, I'm like, yep, good movie. I enjoyed it. I might watch it again. Not gonna go out my way to watch it again, but I wasn't like they didn't do anything. And I'm not saying every movie has to try something new at all, right? Like, you can make a great movie and not try anything new, but like I just feel like it's all pretty vanilla, and so that doesn't leave a lot to like, oh, I really liked the way they had this that really did something else, and you know what I mean? Like, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, for me, like, I agree with some of the stuff you said, but for me, like, I think this movie is really good. Like, I enjoy specifically Bill Murray's character.
Right.
I like the character journey in it, and to me, it feels more realistic. It's not super hyper dramatic in a way. It's like, it's hard to explain, but it actually feels like Bill Murray is going through that time loop, and you feel some of his desperation. And then you actually notice a change in his performances and stuff like that. And
yeah,
I don't know, like I've always just appreciated how well it flows together.
Yeah,
I think the editing in this film is a big thing for me too. A lot of those scenes where Bill Murray will like say something and then instantly walking back into the room, or instantly cutting and saying something, lots of jump cuts and stuff like that. I don't, I think the editing brings
Yeah.
it together in a big part for me.
Well, the other
so-
thing I was thinking about is like, a lot of films they will have a lot more what's the word I'm looking for? Improvisation
Mhm.
in them, and I feel like this is one where they couldn't do that as much because there are so many things that need to be specific, right?
True.
Like the conversations need to go exactly the same way so that he can fit those things that he learned the first day in, right? And so I wonder if that
Less for
like,
Bill Murray.
less for Bill Murray.
Bill Murray can do a little bit of improv and shift, but I'd say every other actor has
Yeah.
it the most. Like especially Ned.
Yeah.
Every single Ned scene, he has to be the same thing.
Yeah.
Phil.
Well, but you know
every
what? They
single
probably
time,
only
right?
shot that once because they cut away from that. That like when he first notices him in the street and then he runs over. They probably only shot that once because I'm pretty sure they used the same shot every time because it cuts away to as soon as these teams start to run, it cuts to whatever that specific scene is.
But Phil says different things
Right, but
each time.
right,
So
he,
I
he
feel like
definitely does.
I feel like
but they
no.
some of them they could only shoot once.
I mean, maybe, yeah. I feel like that one, I'd have to see if there was like a cutaway shot in between, because I feel like a lot of time Phil is saying different things, and
Right,
like
he is.
one
But on
scene,
that,
one scene he comes up and goes Phil, and then Phil turns around and hugs Ned like super crazy, and
True.
Ned like runs away.
true.
Right, so like Ned's the one that runs
Yeah.
away, which is pretty funny.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
I see what you mean. There, that is an interesting point to see like how many of those scenes were actually shot how many times. If you're just changing up the dialogue a bit, maybe you only have to do the close up on some of the actors like Rita once
Yeah.
or twice. You know
Yeah.
what you know what I mean? And then Bill Murray's close ups have to be done 100 times. but when you only have one reaction shot, like, oh yeah,
Yeah.
my favorite drink is XYZ, or I like to drink to world peace. Well, Bill Murray is the only one who's really changing his thing
Right.
until the character is,
yeah.
unless the other character is reacting to what Bill
Right.
Murray is saying.
When
like,
it goes, then each time it gets further in a conversation, hopefully.
Mm-hmm.
Right,
It
but
has
yeah.
some variation. But yeah, I think that is true for what you say, because there really isn't any. Not that there isn't improvisation, but you're right. You have to be a little more precise. You can't
Yeah.
You have to be intentional with how you film
Yeah.
it. And I think that's why I like this movie. Is I feel like everything had a bit of a purpose.
Yeah.
And I'm not sitting there like, okay, well, why did he do that? Why did he do that? I mean, if you want to nitpick and pick apart every little thing that Bill Murray did, but I think realistically, it feels like Bill Murray is acting with intention.
Yeah.
And I don't.
Yeah.
It
Well, and
works
it's
for
also
me.
it also has to be planned too. Like that's
Mhm.
the other thing is like the amount of planning to go in that would go into it to make this all come together. So the writers and the directors and everyone who is involved in the planning of it, they really
Your director needs to really understand the script.
Yeah.
And make sure that things are going to be smooth and
Yeah.
go ahead. And your script supervisors
yeah
have an
that's
important
true.
important
very,
job ahead of them.
Very true. The script supervisors are very important on this.
Yes, assistant directors, script supervisors, all those guys.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think this is a good discussion for this film. Hey.
Yeah.
You want to rate it?
I've been thinking about this. I see, like, this is one of those ones where, like, I enjoyed it and I felt like it was a good film, but, like, I don't feel like it deserves a super high rating. So, yeah, like, I don't know, like, I don't know. I guess I'm gonna go with a 7.
A 7. Okay, like a 7's respectable. Like it's a good movie.
Yeah, like that's the thing is
Yeah.
there's nothing bad and there's nothing fantastic. It's just good, right? It's just a solid movie.
Mhm. Yeah, like I don't think this film is necessarily like magnum opus of cinema, but I do really enjoy it. Like it's probably an 8. It's an 8 out of 10 for me,
Okay.
probably. I enjoy the performances a lot. I think Bill Murray does a great job. I like Bill Murray, but I think he does such a good job of being asshole to good guy. I think
Well,
he
in
has good
everything he
range of
does,
that.
I mean,
yeah,
When in
exactly.
Ghostbusters and everything, he plays the asshole perfectly. Like
Yeah. Oh man.
you almost wonder if he's acting in some of those scenes.
Yeah. Well, that's just it. And I don't know. I really enjoyed this film. I love a lot of things about it, and it's easy to watch too, right?
yeah,
Like
right. That's true.
I'm not trying to sit and fight with the logic in my head and like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I just kind of believe it's happening, right? There's no mystical curse or charm or
Right.
witch that comes out of nowhere,
Yeah.
right? Like
Yeah.
it's kind of left unexplained, and is that okay? I think so.
I think so. But it's that's another good point. Is we kind of know something, like we kind of know. The one thing I wondered was with that nurse. That nurse, when she's like, well, some people just die and there's no body and there's no chart and anything. Like that was like the turning point where all of a sudden, okay, it was like, okay, I think this might be the morning that he wakes up just fine. And so I wonder, like, we're not 100% sure, but we have an idea of kind of what did it. But I kind of like that at the same time, like you said, we don't really know.
My theory is when Bill Murray, the first day, is trying to get out of Punxsutawney, he's like trying to make a call on the long distance line, and someone walks by and hits him on the head with a shovel. My theory is that he was hit on the head by that shovel and it gave him brain damage.
So he's been living in a white padded room the whole time.
Yes. Yeah. Okay, well, I'm going to get the poster because I didn't grab it initially.
Oh, right, that's right. This is on a poster.
It is on the
So,
poster. Explain the poster.
Yeah. So for Christmas, we exchanged gifts. I got Ethan and myself, but we got custom viewing room T-shirts. Yeah, I did. Well, it was you, but then I couldn't just get you a T-shirt and not get me one, so I got myself a T-shirt as well. So custom viewing room T-shirts. And Ethan, we'd kind of talked about this months ago when we first started the show, but Ethan got a top 100 movie posters according to whoever made this poster. And it's like got the little scratcher squares for each of the 100 movies on it. So when you watch the movie, scratch it off. And now we've watched, probably between us, we figure about 80% of these.
Maybe 90.
Maybe 90. But what we're doing is when we watch them and review them on Viewing Room, that's when we scratch them off. So we're going to do, Groundhog Day is the last one on here. All right.
Use my keys.
These are keys.
We're going to hold it up. Please be a groundhog. Please be a groundhog.
Oh, it's the
6 o'clock.
6 infinity. Actually, that's kind of cool with the infinity symbol.
I think that's really awesome, yeah.
Yeah, I like that. That's because that really represents it. Because how many times do they show that 6 on the clock?
There, we can hold it up here. Maybe it might be good to go to camera 3, but you can see it down there. 6 o'clock. Yeah, this really wasn't working as good as it could. So you can see all the movies we've reviewed so far. This is the 9th movie we've done on this list. Like I said, we've probably watched most of them, but yeah. So I guess we have a few coming up with Coliseum Presents, but you should also let us know in the comments, in the chat, anywhere, or on the Instagram page. You can send us a DM what movies you want to see next. It doesn't have to be on this list. It can be one of your favorites. It can be something super abstract.
Something you hate, too, if you want to see us talk about something you hate.
It could be a really bad movie. It could be a really great movie. And it could be a short film. If you want to see us do some short films, we can make it happen. So send us a message at the viewing room _. Send us a message on DM, anywhere. We are always happy to hear from you guys. And I don't know. Are we going to keep going?
I think we got about 20 minutes left in the Your Show version of this. So we'll cut off the viewing room here. So thank you for watching the viewing room. And now we'll continue with Your Show.